welcome to the official pre-match press conference as the CommBank Matildas take on China in match 2 of the Till It's Done farewell series right here at Accor Stadium tomorrow night, 7:40 kickoff. Before we commence, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of which we gather today, the Wangal people of the Yuara Nation, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationships to the land. For the official press conference today, we have CommBank Matildas head coach Tony Gustavsson, and we have a proud Noongar woman, captain 138, 5 FIFA Women's World Cups, 6 AFC Women's Asian Cups, including a gold and 2 silvers, 2 Olympic Games, and 19 years with the CommBank Matildas for her final press conference on home soil, Lydia Williams. Lydia, how does it all feel?
Obviously really excited to be here and obviously honoured, definitely. And probably the most exciting thing I get to share, my final game at home with the team and coaches and obviously all the fans in front of family and friends. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. It's important that we, focus on our preparation leading into the Olympics, but to be able to do both at the same time, I think is pretty special.
Tony, the team arrived in Sydney last night. How have they turned around and prepared ahead of this match on Monday night?
As always, recovery strategies with short turnaround, but there's also a lot of emotions. It's emotions about selections, but also emotions about honouring a legend of the game. And you all know what this team is about. It's all about the players and what they achieved and done. And we're talking here in the locker room a little bit about the memories about my first games. And then Lydia talks about her first games, and you realise, wow, what a journey it's been. And for me to be a small part of that amazing journey, that's going to be very emotional tomorrow. So it'll be a lot of emotions for different reasons, but good emotions.
You can just raise your hand up for questions and we'll come to you.
Lydia, listening, I guess, to that list of all your achievements, it must be, I guess, surreal to talk about your final home game.
Yeah, it's kind of, a closing of the circle. You don't really get much time as an athlete to have hindsight. You really, have to move on from tournament to tournament, from, club season to club season. And over the last few months, I've been able to have that recollection and reflection on my career. And, it's definitely going to be really emotional, but I've always been for the team and for the girls, and I'm just really excited to share, one more final moment with them on the pitch.
Awesome. Tony, you've had a few days, I suppose, to digest the game on Friday. What are, I guess, the key talking points out of the game to go into tomorrow?
I think all of us in the team, including the players, were disappointed about the performance, but we're happy about that last second goal, which says a lot about the attitude and identity of this team with the never say die attitude, focus all the way into the last second. We obviously watched some videos, had some reviews. We're going to have a training today to prepare. We want to be much more energized, more powerful, more attacking minded, more aggressive than we were in the last game. And hopefully, even though it's been a short turnaround with travel and a lot of nerves and emotions with selections, I think there's a team that want to step out there and show who we truly are and finish off with a very, very good performance on home soil, and combine that with sending off Lydia with an honouring game as well, best way possible. To add a clean sheet to that would be great.
Tracy, followed by Erin.
Lydia, we just had Ante Milicic in here as coach of the China team, but he mentioned, the experiences that he had with you as a player. And I guess there's been a lot of reflecting on the girls that you've played with through 2 decades. But can you give us some sort of indication about coaching and how that's changed for the Matildas team in the period that's really seen the rise of women's football in this country and many others?
Yeah, I guess it's the shift in, technical ability, the understanding of the game. When we first started, a lot was, coaches trying to teach us the correct technique and, basically the basic rules and understanding of the game. And throughout that period, over, 20 years of playing, you just see the standards of coaches that come in, and, the environment that we have now, Tony really makes it as self-reliant environment that it's your duty to do the job, to put you in the best shape when you come to camp, and the most important thing is your performance on the pitch. So, yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a culture change and shift in just the way that football has been evolving, women's football. And it's really exciting because, that's what you want. You want to know that you've done the work, and at the end of the day, you get rewarded by playing and getting selected for teams. And that's really kind of the way that it's been evolving over the last, real short time, like 5 years, and bringing in these really dynamic coaches that, are leading that way and really creating that culture shift in a team.
Erin, followed by Emma.
Hi Lydia, I know you've spoken before about wanting to leave, I guess, a bit of a legacy and the team in a better place than where you started. Are you able to talk a bit about that? I mean, we've got fans wearing keeper kits in the crowd these days, and there's a long line of junior keepers lining up to have a shot at what you've achieved. Are you happy with the legacy you've left and where it's going?
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing that I really wanted was that this team fights for what they believe in, and we've seen that throughout the years that it's okay to fight for things and to have that support. And we've been so lucky with the coaches that we've had in place that have supported our journey and supported our fight and understood the bigger picture, and that's really led to where we are now. And I, want that culture and environment to continue, and I think it will. The girls have a fire in them. We've, brought in people to lead the team in a positive way to really kind of make sure that, it is about results in the team and the culture and, the Matildas as a whole. It's not just one player. It's not just one staff member. It's not just one organisation. It's everything. Like the Matildas are the fans, the family, and everyone in between. And I think we've kind of seen that grow throughout this last year.
And Tony, obviously Caitlin picked up that injury in that last game. Are you able to provide an update on where she's at and if we're likely to see her tomorrow night?
They're actually doing a review of her availability as we're speaking right now. So we'll see in training today. As soon as we know, we put out a statement whether she's available or not. So I actually don't know myself. I will have a meeting when I come back to the hotel this afternoon, and then we'll see if she joins training or not. And then we make sure we put out a statement so everyone knows.
Lydia, congratulations on your announcement, and all the best from here on in. At the start of your career, you played an Asian Cup final in Adelaide to a crowd of 5,000. You played to more than 10 times that on Friday night, and it speaks of the trajectory of the support for the game and also too for the women's code.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Matildas have been around for even longer than I've been here. And to just see the trajectory in the last, year of how we've grown the game, I think we were just surprised we were reminiscing back here. I think Tony's first time and us playing here was against USA, and it was like 35,000, and we were stoked about that. And that's only literally like two years ago. So it's really crazy just to see the drive and the support of the women's game. And yeah, it's just a credit to everyone involved just to doing that. But obviously, from that, it's our performance on the pitch. It's how we prepare. It's how we get the most important supplies and things that we need for us. So we really couldn't do it without the support from everyone supporting the players.
And that support appears to be growing. I mean, the halo effect is such for park footy, for your under-7s to your under-10s knocking around. The sign-up rates have increased, at least in New South Wales, by more than around 25% just in this last year, and over a 5-year period, 72%. So that ripple effect of the team is tangibly noticeable on park pitches everywhere. And is the team cognizant of that?
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think the one thing about it is that, we're all the same as when we first started. No one's really changed. We've known each other since we were 16, and we were those kids trying to look up for a role model, and all of a sudden we've become that role model. So it's a little bit of a pinch me moment, I think, for all of us. But I think, throughout it all, we've all remained, true to who we are and what we believe in.
Tony, Lydia's just talked a lot about the growth in women's football. We've just seen at Adelaide, so many fans have come down. And I'm just wondering, how do you deal with kind of balancing, how fans kind of get their money's worth and see what they perceive as, the big stars that they got to know, and you actually having to prepare for a major tournament and making changes and testing combinations and doing stuff that, might be a little bit boring to the outside world but has to happen because you want the outside world to see you perform at the Olympics. How do you balance that? And is it just kind of growing pains of a growing kind of commercial thing?
It's a very good question, because it is part of a challenging coaching job, because you want to make sure that this team is connected to the fans, because that is a why. Like Lydia said, we're all the family, including the fans. It's such a big part of this team. So the way I've tried to do it is, when I sit here in front of you, I try to explain what we're doing as much as possible so that the fans understands why we're doing it, because I also know the fans wants nothing but this team to perform in the Olympics. And if they understand that part of performing in the Olympics is to look at players, for example, for selection, because they like these players, they want to give them an opportunity, and even if they want to see a star player. But I also think there's always going to be different opinions in this room and by the fans to say everyone has their favorite player, why is she not playing? And that's part of coaching, and I'm happy to take criticism for that. What is important is that I talk to the players, respect the players, talk to the fans, respect the fans, and try to explain why we're doing what we're doing. And there's nothing right and wrong, but I need to educate the public on the process of why we do what we do. So in that first game in this camp, we had a lot of players with tired legs and fatigue and some niggles from a very long season, and I needed to protect them to not get injured, because that's also one of my jobs. And then we had some players that were on the fringe to be selected that I think deserved a last chance to show if they should be on the plane to Paris. This game is a bit different. It's later on in camp when we have managed to save some legs, and hopefully some of those that had limited minutes will be more available now. And also it's the last game before we travel to France, and we really want to finish off with a good performance and hopefully a win here. And then the other thing I want to say to that as well, I purposefully pushed hard to get the nomination on home soil when we nominate the team on Tuesday, because I really felt with COVID-21 and we announced the team in Sweden and on screens and couldn't even see families, not fans. And it was very important for me to make sure that the players could be with their families and friends, but also for Australia to connect to this Aussie spirit and the Matildas live here. I could have waited another month to announce it if you look at the deadline, but I really want to make sure we did it on home soil, because that will create so much energy for us to perform in Paris as well.
Thank you. And one to Lydia. Have you had to think about what you want to do with your number 1 jersey yet?
That's under wraps. I'm sure we'll have a little presentation of that and go from there. But yeah, that's still first. It has to be focused on the game, and then whatever happens after, it's prep from there.
Thank you.
Next question. Any more questions?
A question to Lydia. I was wondering, did the idea of retiring from the international football came naturally to you, or is it a hard decision? And for your long career, what's your biggest takeaway from this sports? Thank you so much.
Really good questions. For me, it's been a process of definitely a couple years, and it really is, I guess, a credit to Tony and really kind of nurturing me into a mentoring role of making the decision myself that the team was making a different change in the way that football was evolving naturally. The demands on sport today and female football is incredibly huge, and I've been at that time playing for a good 15 years, and my body definitely was finding it a bit hard to back up. And credit to Mac, obviously she's been in great form, Tegan too, and realizing that and knowing that you had to kind of change your mindset into what your role was turning into. And throughout that process, it was a lot of, I guess, internal dialogue, but also I never felt any disrespect and only support from Tony into being around the team and now being able to be sent off on home soil, and that was really important for him to make that decision. It could have been a completely different way, and for him to see the importance of honouring those players that have been around for a really long time, and the staff have all been really supportive, but ultimately the girls have wanted to do it as well. So for me it was a long process, but one that I felt support throughout the last couple of years, and really kind of taking up a new role in the team. That might not be a starting position, but just as important, has really kind of filled that void of high performance in a different way. What was the second part of it? My biggest takeaway is the ability to evolve. You need to evolve in the sport, and you need to find a way to still make it your passion, even if performance changes, the sport gets faster, someone younger comes in. You need to be able to evolve with the times to make sure that it's still your passion. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. You started playing because you love the game, and you have to continue to love it, even if your role might change.
Final question.
Just on the longevity, Lydia, obviously we're seeing players keep that Matildas jersey on longer and longer now. Is that really promising to see that you get that support to stay in the game for so long?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a lot of factors come in through your overseas clubs, and more and more windows being added and changed, and so really it is longevity. It's important to realise, I think, a lot of the players in the team have been also playing since they were 16, 17 years old. So we do have quite an experienced and longevity in the team. But yeah, I think it's just a credit to, what we've been through, the support we've had throughout our whole careers to where we are now, to finally, everyone feeling, their peak, and really kind of embracing, the hard work that we've done in so many previous years. But, to be able to wrap it all up, we have such an amazing support staff, medical team, coaching staff to really kind of monitor that. No one flies more than the Aussies around the country, and to play in international competition, and to have that recognition here, I think that has been the main thing that has helped our team create that longevity.